What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Brock.
Mike.
I'm Brock, and tonight we're going to do another Legends episode. We haven't done one of these in a while. We're going to spotlight Barry Windham.
Yep. Big Barry.
What set did he debut in? I wish we should have probably looked at this. I think it's the Colors Expansion 2.
That and he's got another card too because they put him in the tag team with the U.S. Express.
Yes. Let's see. Let me figure that out real quick. What sets he's in. If this is up to date. Legends 2 and Legends Prime 2022. So I got the expansion right, and then the second card was in Prime 2022. So to go with the Mike Rotundo card
Yep.
that came out that same year. So yeah, Barry Windham. What are some of your career highlights you remember of Barry?
The first time I remember seeing Barry wrestle was probably around 85. He was just starting off with Mike Rotundo as a U.S. Express.
Okay.
And, I was probably 13 years old. I was a big fan of him.
They brought the world titles to Mania 1, didn't they?
Yeah, they had just beat when I saw them, and I remember because they beat Sheik and Volkov
Okay.
because they showed the match. They go, this just happened because this is back before pay-per-views and everything. So if a title change happened, they would show the match like a month after on TV.
Uh-huh.
And so, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's awesome.
But they lost them at Mania 1, didn't they?
I think so. I remember the match, but I don't remember where it because I remember Luscious Johnny V,
Yeah, he interfered, I think.
yeah, with the cigar to Barry Windham's eyes against the Dream Team, Valentine and Beefcake.
I thought they lost them to Sheik and Volkov
Oh, did they?
at Mania. That was later. That I think I remember that happening.
Yeah, like we're hitting back close to 40 years, and I'm trying to
Yeah, I was trying
remember.
to think. I don't remember the timeline either. But yeah, they lost to the Dream Team at just a house show in New York. It looks like,
Okay.
and at WrestleMania 1, they lost to Sheik and Volkov with interference from Freddie Blassie's cane. So they couldn't. Nobody could beat him straight up.
And then Barry uh he dropped off for a little while. I didn't see him. No, I didn't get NWA and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and then I think the next time I saw him pop in was in the NWA.
Yeah, they ended up there.
He was teaming up with Luger.
Mhm. Yeah, Barry had quite the career in NWA.
Yeah, he was teaming with Luger, and there was still one of the biggest shocks I've seen was when he turned on Luger and joined the Horsemen,
Hmm.
like mid-match. Just turned on him because they were the NWA Tag Team Champions, and Tully and Arn beat him because Luger clotheslined. Wyndham clotheslined Luger, and I think it was Anderson pinned him, got the pin, and then Dusty Rhodes breaks into the back. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I just pulled up his championship history. Um, he's done a lot. We could just go through his NWA reigns. He was NWA World Heavyweight Champion. WCW World Television Champion, Western States Heritage Champion,
Can't forget that title.
United States Heavyweight Champion, United States Tag Champion with Ron Garvin. I don't remember that. WCW World Tag Team Champion / Mid-Atlantic World Champion Tag Team Champions with Luger, the one you just referenced.
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes, Kurt Hennig, and Kendall Windham. So he's 4 times with 4 different partners. And then in the WWF, he was the tag team champions twice with Mike Rotundo, and he's also a 2-time Hall of Famer as a member of the Four Horsemen and as a member of the U.S. Express. He was the Wrestling Observer Rookie of the Year in 1980, and he had the Match of the Year with Ric Flair in 1986 from Valentine's Day of that year.
Huh.
Then he has a ton of other championships here too. NWA affiliates and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
When he lost the NWA World title, and he ended up, I think, losing it or dropping it somehow to Ric Flair, or he was supposed to have a long run, and they made him a transitional champion, and he left NWA / WCW for like a year or two because of it.
the WWE made him a great character called the Stalker.
He actually, at one point, I remember when he was the Widowmaker.
I remember that.
Like, I kind of like that one.
That one wasn't bad. Then he was the new Blackjacks. Like, why couldn't I think of it?
Oh,
With Bradshaw. Remember that short-lived tag team
yep,
in the WWF? Kind of put Bradshaw on the map, though.
it did. There's some odd stories I remember. Like I remember it was Billy Jack Haynes beat the crap out of him after a show once because he was lipping off to Billy Jack, and everybody expected Blackjack to jump in, and I guess Blackjack, they said he didn't jump in for 2 reasons. One, because Barry ran his mouth, so he's got to be able to back it up,
Yeah.
and also Blackjack wanted no part of Billy Jack because he was crazy and strong and stuff.
That's funny.
And I still remember, now this is going back about 20 something years. I was wrestling in Tennessee. It had been 15, somewhere in that 15, 20 years ago. And I was on a show, and Tracy Smothers was on that show. Now, I mentioned this a couple times before, but Tracy always, if he was on an indie show, would always watch all the matches on the indie show.
Uh-huh.
And he would give feedback. Tracy was one of a kind.
Mm-hmm.
And he would give feedback to, hey, and he'd call you over, and, only an idiot wouldn't take, his advice.
Right. He'd been around forever.
And so I was doing a series of shows, and he just happened to be on the same show. I never worked him.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me over the one time. He goes, kid, he goes, you remind me of Barry Windham. And I was like, thanks.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
good. That's high praise.
and he goes, no, not what you think. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? He goes, Barry could have been a multiple time world champion. He goes, but he couldn't get out of his own way. He goes, he always had to go drinking, partying. He never hit the gym unless it was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, he just kept, going. He goes, he was such a natural athlete. And he goes, you're just like him. He goes, you're tall, lanky. He goes, you can do everything in the ring. He goes, but you don't put any effort towards it. And this is after I'd got turned down twice by the WWF.
Uh-huh.
So my mind was elsewhere about, getting into the ring. And I'm like, yeah, but I saw where he was coming from that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that about Barry.
Yeah.
I just knew Barry was easily one of the best guys I'd ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Done it all.
And, you know, his run with that Heritage States title, that was a made up title to give him a title.
Just like Terminus we talked about last week.
Western States Heritage title. Lost it to Dusty Rhodes. And, you know, he tried to do the claw finisher, which I've always thought was one of the worst finishers you could ever have.
It's a callback to last week's episode too, with Blazing Skull and Wolf.
Yep. And it just, you know, but he could do he could do the drop kick. You know, I liked it when his finisher was a superplex.
Yeah. Somebody that big doing a superplex, that would knock the wind out of anybody for 3 seconds.
Yeah. You're coming down like he's a legit 6'6",
Mm-hmm.
a big dude.
Yeah. He
Like,
got around well for his size, though.
yeah. And there were so many guys that talk about him that say he was just the coolest dude to ever strap on a pair of boots. Like
Yeah.
he drove around in his Trans Am, case of beer in the back, and he'd just drive. He was always the wheel man.
Yeah, you never really hear anybody talking anything bad about him.
No,
I'm sure he has his detractors, but they don't seem to be very common.
no. And it's probably people that were, you know, jealous of his natural abilities.
Right. Yeah, that stalker gimmick was so dumb.
I I don't even think I really remember. I remember hearing about it. I don't think I ever really saw it or paid attention to it.
Uh, he had camo face paint and stuff, and
Yeah, but I don't think I ever saw him wrestle as it or
it was very short-lived. I don't remember him having any matches. He was
yeah,
like in a Survivor series or something like that. Was like the only time I can remember him being in anything important.
more of Vince McMahon's poor ideas.
Yeah. Well, you know how Vince was, especially in that time period. If you didn't make your name with him, he wasn't going to use you with anything serious.
No, and he did, you know, he did kind of get his big break there, but he left, so he was probably
Right. Sour grapes.
yeah. Vince probably had issues with him and sent him out the door.
Hmm. But he's on Ric Flair's list of who Ric Flair sees as the Four Horsemen. It was him, Flair, Barry Windham, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard, managed by J.J. Dillon, is who Flair always answers as his definitive Four Horsemen.
If you ask most people, that's a definitive Four Horsemen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Ole should be in there, but I guess he wasn't with them very long.
No, he wasn't. But neither was Barry.
No, but they had that all that success whenever he was there.
Like I still have a picture from a magazine, and I can't remember which wrestling magazine it was, but and everybody's seen that photo where Flair's a world champion, Barry's a U.S. champion, and
Hmm.
Arn and Tully are the tag champions.
Yeah.
And that's a great picture.
Hmm.
And Barry just looked cool because he wore that leather vest,
Yeah.
the thick bandana.
Yep.
You know, he didn't fit in with those guys, like just the way he looked. They were all relatively, you know, Tully and Flair were supposed to be the businessmen,
Uh-huh.
and then Arn and Barry, who actually ended up holding a tag titles themselves.
Yeah, they did.
I remember that because I remember they did a vignette, uh, and they did it in like some kind of in like badass neighborhood where they weren't supposed to be in, and they're pretending they just kicked going to be kicking everyone's asses in that neighborhood. I,
Probably
I
wouldn't
can
happen.
no, I can vaguely remember it. Like, these things are going back 20 plus years
Right.
to remember a vignette. But
That wasn't something completely hokey.
no,
I
Barry was
remember I remember all the Dungeon of Doom vignettes very well for all the wrong reasons.
yeah, but he was such a great talent. Like, he was unnaturally strong.
Hmm.
Like, he could the dude could pick up and body slam Vader.
Yeah, which he did.
He could do high flying moves. He could throw a great drop kick for a guy his size.
Hmm.
But like Tracy said, if you watch him, he never hit the gym. He never did a lot of things because he just, I don't know the motivation behind him.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. Like he's a second generation guy. Was he just feeling like he was doing the family business and it's what he had to do,
Yeah.
it's hard to tell without like getting in his head.
And then him and Mike Rotundo were close enough, where Mike's son was named Windham.
They're brother-in-laws.
Yeah.
Uh, Barry's married to Mike's sister, right?
Yeah. And then Barry's just had some health issues as well. I think somebody said he had a stroke or something
I hadn't
a
heard
while
that.
ago.
Hope he's doing well.
So he's supposed to be doing, and he recently did some autograph signings a little while ago.
Hmm.
Oh,
He
he had a heart attack. He had a heart attack. That's what it
oh,
was.
okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's. I knew he had something because people were like, oh, he almost could have died.
Hmm. He's he's still with us though, thankfully.
Yeah, he's like I said, he's been a especially if you really watched wrestling in the 80s, 80s to
Uh,
mid 90s, he was a staple.
oh yeah, he was always there. Always involved in a top story toward the main event or in the main event.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was tag team champion at WrestleMania 1. Who else can say that? Just Mike Rotundo. And he was Rotundo in WWF, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, 'cause that confused me forever.
So dumb. Just Vince. So he could trademark it probably. So how would you book Barry in a GWF futuristic Fed?
Um,
I'd revisit that Widowmaker gimmick.
maybe the Widowmaker or the bring him in as an extra tag guy with Dorado Sundown.
That'd be fun. He'd be
Make it,
their alternate.
yeah, mix and match. Give him the free bird option where you don't know who you're
Yeah,
facing.
put him in against a bigger guy. Those guys are pretty big too, though.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. The whole Widowmaker gimmick would fit in well with that. Or you could just make him the Stalker again. Have him, I don't know what you could do with that. I don't know why anyone thought that was a good idea. The Stalker. And I guess he was supposed to be a good guy. Vince probably
But
didn't know what a Stalker was.
so we said because it's Barry, there's been 15 members of the Horsemen.
That's it? I thought there would have been more than that.
No, there's 15.
Okay.
So take away Flair, Arn, Ole, and Tully, the original four.
Okay.
Who would be your next Four Horsemen?
Oh, so picking from that, what's left from that list. Okay.
So you have
I can't use Flair or
no. So I'll run you down the next 11. You have Luger.
I want to see if I can remember them.
Okay.
I'm going to put together mine from memory. I'm going to try. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'll put Luger on there just because you need the muscle guy, the big muscle guy. My enforcer is going to be Steve Mongo McMichael, and then my tag team is going to be Sting. No, Sting's the headliner. Sting's the headliner. Sting will be the headliner. Luger's the enforcer. No, Luger's the next man up. And then I'm going to put together a tag team of Mongo and Pillman. Brian Pillman.
So my guy would be Windham,
Okay.
Kurt Hennig,
I forgot he was part of that for a minute.
and then I would make a tag team. I want to throw Sid in.
Yeah. We just lost Sid too.
Yeah. But
He was not a horseman very long at all.
no. Well, neither was okay. I'm gonna take away Kurt Hennig since he was a horseman less than a month.
But you're gonna put Paul Roma in, the greatest horseman of all time.
Um,
What about Dean Malenko? And he who shall not be named.
Chris Benoit, he was possibly on my list, but he was a horseman for 3 years.
He was.
He put in the time.
He did.
Like you could just take the top four, go Luger, Wyndham, Sting, and Sid.
Hmm.
But there's and you can make Luger and Sting the tag team.
Yeah, because they were a tag team.
Yeah. And then Wyndham and Sid is Wyndham could be the leader, and
Hmm.
then Sid's the muscle.
It's a good dynamic. I like my tag team with Mongo and Ben, not Benoit, Pillman.
But you could do your tag team again of Roma and Vicious.
Yeah, it'd
Almost
be
almost have
similar.
it like a Power
Yeah,
and
similar.
Glory.
Yeah.
And so none of us picked Jeff Jarrett or D. Malenko or Brian.
Jeff Jarrett, like if you were to make the list of the worst four horsemen, Jeff Jarrett would be on that list. He didn't fit at all.
No, my list of the worst four horsemen would be Paul Roma,
Yes,
Brian Pillman,
Pillman was the best.
Jeff Jarrett, and Steve McMichael.
Nope, Steve McMichael was great.
And then all the managers they had. You had JJ, Baby Doll, Dark Journey, Patty Mullen, Hiro Matsuda, Woman, Miss Elizabeth, Fifi, Deborah McMichael, Bobby Heenan, Charles Robinson, Double D, Samantha, which is Tori.
Only J.J. Dillon counts. Those other ones were just in and out.
Yeah.
Woman and Elizabeth were with them for a while, though. That '90s incarnation.
Well, Baby Doll was Blanchard's valet for
Yeah.
years. I don't
Yeah,
remember Hiro Matsuda as a manager.
me neither. Was there like a Four Horsemen Japan run or something that we didn't know about?
Well, it could be because he was an associate.
Yeah. Well, if you go into the associates, then you got to like tie in like David Flair and all
Yeah,
these
like Michael Hayes and Butch Reed and
guys.
Kendall Windham and War
Yeah,
Machine.
I forgot about Kendall Windham. We didn't
Oh,
mention the West Texas Rednecks in all our talk about Barry. That gave his career another little shot in the arm there toward the end. I think he's the only one that's still alive in that group.
Barry?
Yeah, because Kendall has passed. Kurt has passed. Is Bobby Duncombe Jr. still alive?
He could be. I didn't even know Kendall passed.
Pretty sure he did.
Shouldn't be smiling about. Did Kendall pass? With wrestlers, you never know. It's one of those.
Yeah, Bobby Duncombe Jr. died in 2000. He was young. He was only 35 years old. Kendall, I'm pretty sure Kendall Windham died as well. No, he's still alive. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kendall.
Okay.
Kendall is still alive. He's 67. I'm sorry, 56 years old. He was born in 67. Kendall Windham is still with us, thankfully.
Okay. 'Cause I was gonna say I hadn't heard about him dying, but that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And then we lost Virgil recently. He was a member of that group too. It's Curly Bill.
'Cause usually when a wrestler dies, within hours, Jim Carantinos
Yeah.
has it up. That's why I don't remember seeing it. But we should probably close this relatively shorter version.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sorry, Kendall Windham. I apologize. I should have done my research. I'm glad that you're still alive. So the Wyndham brothers are still alive. The rest of that group is unfortunately passed on. So thanks for listening, everybody. While you're here, if you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. While you're here, scrolling down to the description, you'll find all kinds of links to our friends who make Filsinger Games related content, including the official Filsinger Games podcast Roll Up, the Legends team's Uncharted Territory, Dizzy Dice from Lee Longpree, Solo Promoter from Grant Pachoco. You'll also find Grant's solo promoter here on YouTube, Dave Little's Heartland Championship Wrestling. Brad Plays 81. Brad plays a lot. Check him out. He does a lot of live streams and he does a live podcast as well. Bucky749 has a lot of fun videos that he posts. And you'll find After Further Review. I'm on Twitch. Just if you want to find me, just follow my social media. I try and put it out there when I'm going to be on. Usually Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, schedule permitting, around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Trying to get more consistent, but haven't been able to do that. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah. Comment your favorite Four Horsemen and your least favorite Four Horsemen below, and your favorite Barry Windham memory. And yeah, that's all I've got.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.
Good night, everyone.
Later.